Welcome back. Today we're talking about Madolches. We're going to be going over the combos for this deck, how to play with it, how to play against it. This deck is still extremely powerful, able to keep up with any of the top meta decks in the game today. It can beat anything, mainly because of its big powerful boss monster, Madolche Queen Tiramisu. This is very easy to make with any two level 4 Madolches being able to do it. You can shuffle 2 cards from your opponent's side of the field back into their deck without destroying them, without targeting them, and without triggering any graveyard effects. Extremely powerful removal card, one of the best ones in Yugioh. It gets rid of so many powerful monsters that otherwise are very difficult to deal with. Things like the brand new Lunalite monster that just came out that says, like, you can't destroy this card, your opponent cannot target this card. Anything like that that's really difficult to deal with, those kind of towers monsters that are very hard to remove. Tiramisu gets rid of them. Same thing with the Time Lord Trap card that's very difficult to kill sometimes. This card is able to very easily get rid of any of those kind of threats that usually have that kind of protection built in. Very few things are actually able to protect it. And our entire combo is going to end on a Crocodile mode, a Tiramisu, and a Madolche, which is over 6,000 attack points, and our combo can be started with just one monster card with our Madolche Madolche. So of course we're running 3 copies of that. I'll get into the combo when we get into the duel replays and show you guys exactly how to do the combo. But again, it can just be started with this one Madolche Madolche card. We also have our 2 other Madolches in here, the Pudding Sis and the Petting Sessor. These are a part of the combo. You only need one each. You do not want to draw these 2. You'd much rather they stay in your deck. But if you do draw them, it's not the end of the world. You can still perform your combo. You just really need to have the Madolche in hand to do it. Now, in order to get the Madolche, we're going to be using Sorcery Conduit as our skill. This is the biggest change since the last time that we played with this deck. We used to be running the Draw Sense low level skill, which anytime your life points were like 1,000 or under, you could add a level 4 lower to your hand. But since they nerfed that skill, Sorcery Conduit is now the best way to go. It's more beneficial than the Draw Sense low level because we can guarantee that we get our Madolche Madolche into hand instead of accidentally drawing into the Petting Sessor. Also, it's better than Destiny Draw because it's only 1,500 life points rather than 2,000 life points that need to be taken away from you in order to trigger the skill. So Sorcery Conduit is our choice of skill in order to get to our Madolche, in order to get to our combos, and everything else in our deck is mostly centered around trying to make sure that combo goes through and taking out our opponent. Especially if we're going second, we have 3 MST and 3 Cosmic Cyclone, 6 anti-back row cards to deal with anything that our opponent has trying to stop our combo. This is why I say this deck is really good at beating Dark Magician, because we have 6 ways to pop their Dark Magician Circle card so they can't search from their deck, and to get rid of the Eternal Soul, whatever that trap card is that you destroy it blows up all the monsters on their side of the field. So given that we have, instead of just 3 of these, we have 6 total anti-back row cards in our deck, makes it really easy to deal with Dark Magician or any other deck that's running a ton of back row cards. We have a lot of ways to deal with it. We also have 3 Book of Moon and 2 Forbidden Chalice in here. This is to deal with any monster effects that our opponents have turn 1 that they're able to set up. Decks like Speedroids and others are able to put, our Destiny Heroes are able to put up those monsters on the board that have like negations or have like ways to stop your effects from going off, or they can blow up your monsters with their effects. So having Book of Moon Chalice is a way to shut those down. Other than that, we're running just a few extra back row cards. We, of course, have our 3 ofs. We have 2 Lost Winds and the 1 Compulse, accounting for our 3 Limit 3s trap cards, and then the 1 Warning Point rounding out the rest of our main deck. For our extra deck, we have the 2 Tiramisu, the 2 Crocodile Mode, and the 2 Glass Souffle as part of our combo cards. Again, I'll go over the combos when we get to the deck replays, but running 2 of each is enough. I never really found that I needed more of 2 of any of these. I also have the 1 Dark Rebellion XYZ Dragon in here. Don't really go into this too often. I think I used it probably once the entire time I've played with this deck. It really is only useful if you don't have a Madolche in your graveyard to trigger Tiramisu and you have to go into an XYZ on the spot. Very rarely comes up, but it does occasionally. So I don't think I ever used a Nightmare Phoenix. You could probably switch this out for another rank 4, something like a Bish Dweller. Maybe we can go with something like a Link Disciple in case Nightmare Corruptor Ibly comes back into the metagame. But anyways, that's it for the deck list. Let's go ahead and get into the replays and the combos. Alright, now this first game is kind of just going to be more of a just best case scenario of like how to, win going second, going over the combo and how you shut down your opponent. Although, I mean, this does come up quite a bit though, where you're going second, you have your 1 card combo, and then you have the Book of Moons or the MSTs, Cosmics to take out whatever your opponent throws at you. So we'll go ahead and go over in this game. If you guys do like the content, like the video, please be sure to like and subscribe. It does help out the channel a lot, and I really do appreciate the support. But playing against a playing against a Speedroid player here, we know we're definitely going to need the Book of Moons to shut down their monster effects, right? This is what I was talking about earlier in the video, that you have so many decks now that summon monsters that interact with during your opponent's turn, have a way to disrupt their effects during their turn. And this deck's going to be able to summon a couple of them here. We have the Clearwing Synchro Dragon. Once per turn during either player's turn, when another monster effect is activated, you can negate it and destroy it. So we cannot allow that to go through. And he's going to summon the High Speedroid Hagoita. I'm not even sure if I'm pronouncing that right, but this is a really problematic card that I really hadn't seen too much before. During either player's turn, you can tribute this card to increase the level of all monsters currently on the field by 1 until the end of the turn. That can completely shut down our XYZ play. So we got to get rid of both of these monsters and get rid of this back row. But fortunately, we top deck into the Cosmic Cyclone. So we use the Cyclone to get rid of the back row, then we can just Book of Moon both of his monsters, and we'll go into our famous Madolche combo. So go ahead and Book of Moon, flip both of these face down, and then we're going to summon the Madolche Mageline. On normal summon, you get to search your deck for a Madolche monster, allowing us to search for the Petting Cessor. Now, Petting Cessor has an effect that says if you don't have a monster in the graveyard, you can special summon this card from your hand. And its effect says when you special summon this card, you get to special summon a Madolche monster from your deck. However, you do reduce that Madolche monster's level by 1, which is a good situation for the Pudding Cess because it becomes level 4 now, allowing you to XYZ summon with it. But just be careful if you do try to bring out like a Mageline or whatever, it's going to become a level 3 and you're not going to be able to do a XYZ summon. So we're going to perform a XYZ summon here with the Pudding Cess and one of the other level 4s. I always use the Petting Cess, or it doesn't really matter too much, I don't feel like, but as long as you have the Pudding Cess under this, that's what really matters. So we're going to activate the first effect of Glass Souffle to send a Madolche, to detach one from this and make one of our Madolches unaffected. We don't care about that. We just need to detach to get a Madolche monster into our graveyard. Now it's going to ask you to trigger the second effect of Madolche Glass Souffle. If you're going first, you want to say no, because you're going to accidentally shuffle your own monster back into your deck. You're going to basically mess up your own combo. So if you're going first, you want to make sure you say no on this trigger. But here, since we're going second, and our opponent has stuff in their graveyard that we might want to shuffle back, we're going to go ahead and say yes and just shuffle a couple things back from his graveyard back into his deck, just so he can't get those effects. So now we're going to perform another XYZ summon. Putting Cis Chocolate a la mode allows you to summon it on top of a Madolche XYZ monster, so we're going to summon it on top of the Glass Souffle. We're then going to activate Chocolate a la mode's effect to shuffle the monster from our graveyard back into its deck. That's going to trigger the effect of the Chocolate a la mode, the second effect, to detach one and special summon a Madolche monster from our deck. So we'll bring out another copy of the Mageline. This is going to let us go for another XYZ summon. We're going to bring out the Tiramisu. And now Tiramisu can activate its effect. We're going to activate her effect to detach one, shuffle 2 Madolche monsters from our graveyard back into the deck, send both of his cards back into the deck, and that's going to trigger the effect of the Chocolate a la mode to summon a Madolche from the deck, so we'll detach. Go ahead and summon that. We got over 6,000 damage here, plus the back. Our opponent knows that he has no way of winning this, so he surrenders. So triple Cosmic Cyclone going first is never something you want to see in your opening hand. Fortunately, though, it's a Ritual Beast deck, and they don't open up with a Canahawk and Elder combo, so we're in a good spot here. He only sets 2 back row, so we're able to easily Cosmic Cyclone both of them, take them out, and then coming back to our turn, we can activate our skill, Sorcery Conduit. Since we've taken 1,500 points of damage, we can guarantee ourselves to draw a Spellcaster monster. The only Spellcaster on the deck is Mageline, so we get it to hand, and then we get to go into our same combo here. I'll go ahead and speed it up a little bit because we've seen this combo before, and it's the exact same thing. You special summon, bring out the Pudding Cess, bring out the XYZ monsters, shuffle. You're gonna bring out your Tiramisu. Tiramisu shuffles your opponent's cards back into their deck, and that's it. Very simple. Again, a lot of your games are just gonna be like this. Yeah, it's definitely the first thing I will say about this deck, though. If you're looking for a deck that's going to be doing tons of different combos, this is not it. It's the exact same combo every time you're doing. There's no difference in it. The only difference is if you're going first, which usually I don't do the combo going first like this, because if you go first and you put out your XYZ monsters onto the board and your opponent blows them up, everything just goes to the graveyard and you have no way to combo off again later on. Now, it's the only time it's ever good to do that, I feel like, is if your opponent is using a really graveyard-reliant deck, because then your Glass Souffle effect can be used to, like, disrupt on your opponent's turn, because you can shuffle cards from their graveyard back into their deck during their turn, which is really cool, actually, so that's the one time when it is good to combo off going first, but other than that, you generally don't want to. You just want to set your back row, hope your opponent can't OTK you. You have plenty of back row cards to try to stop that from happening. I hope you can just clear out whatever he has after that. So that's what we're going to try to do in this game. It's against Hero. He has the version of Heroes that lets him normal summon the Neos without tributing, and he gets to freely search for Super Poly afterwards. Now, he set 3 back row and didn't go for any kind of fusion summon besides that, just leaving the Neos and swinging with it. So he has 3 back row, and we know one of them is a Super Poly. So we're going to go ahead when he declares the attack. We're going to activate the Cosmic Cyclone, take out one of the back row cards, and hope that we don't hit the Super Poly, which we don't do. So now I'm going to go ahead and compulse his Neos back to hand. And that's going to turn off a Super Poly because it needs an elemental hero monster on the board. So now we have, in effect here, not only blocked the attack, but also cut off one of his other 2 back row cards. So if his other back row card here is not able to shut down our Madolche combo in any kind of way, we win the game here, right? We have our combo. Again, it doesn't matter if you draw these pieces, you can still do your combo anyways. In the case of Pudding Sis, you can actually summon her from the hand. Again, it does suck because you lose out on card advantage a little bit. You don't get that the free summon from the deck. Instead, you have to summon it from your hand, but you know, you can still go with your combo, so that's not too much of a problem. Same thing with the Petting Cessor, where you just summon Magically and search for another Magically, and it's not an issue. So we'll go into our combo here. Our opponent doesn't have anything to stop us at all, so I'll go ahead and just speed through this a little bit, because again, it's the exact same combo every game. That is the one downside of this deck, is that it's going to be a little bit, I don't know what the right word is. You're just doing the same combo over and over again, but that's totally fine in this case, because I love Madolches, and I love doing this to people. Alright, so here we have a matchup against the Dark Magician deck. I was playing against quite a few of these. I didn't want to include nothing but Dark Magician gameplay videos, but I did have quite a few of these. I know the new, as I'm recording this today, the new ban list finally dropped on Duel Links, so a lot of people are trying out Dark Magician this week. A lot of people are playing with it, so it's a good opportunity to use this deck because we have a lot of anti-back row cards to deal with it. But our opponent went first, set 3 back row. We know one of them is going to be the Magical Dimension, so we just need to take out that and whatever else other, you know, disruptive back row he has here. So go ahead and hit 2 of these things with the MSTs and hope he doesn't have anything else to shut down our combo with whatever this third one is. If he doesn't, he's going to be in big trouble here. And in fact, that's exactly what's going to happen, because he was dependent on this, I think, to try to get a Dark Magician in hand by, you know, getting the draw effect off the Conjurer, trying to dig for one. But since he doesn't have it, we're just going to go ahead and destroy him. Now, I'll go ahead and explain this too real fast here. If you are going first, this is where the combo deviates. So let's say you're going first, you know you're playing against someone who is running like a very graveyard reliant deck. They have a lot of things that activate in the graveyard, and you want to be able to disrupt them. Again, I mentioned earlier, Glass Souffle is great because during your opponent's turn, you can actually use the effect and shuffle stuff from their graveyard back into their deck, kind of acting like a DD Crow of sorts that can hit 2 things in their grave and really disrupt their plays. So if you were going first, this is the part of the combo where you would go into the Glass Souffle, go into your second copy. So everything up to this point would be the exact same, but instead of going into the Tiramisu right now and shuffling stuff from their field into their deck, you go into the Glass Souffle, set your back row, and then you would pass. But obviously we're not going first here, we're going second, so we're going to go for our Madolche Queen, use her powerful effect to shuffle everything from his board back into his deck. Nothing you can do to stop this. It's going to trigger the Chocolate Island mode effect, summon our other Madolche, swing, swing, swing. Our opponent has nothing he can do. Game over. Now, if you're looking for cards that really do stop Madolches, I'd say DD Crow is probably the best one. Any kind of trap card or spell card for that matter that you try to play against them, they have triple MST and Cosmic usually to take care of them. And any kind of monster effect you're trying to rely on this to protect yourself, the Book of Moon and the Chalices can take care of them. So it's very difficult to find things that can actually stop them. DD Crow does a great job because it stays in your hand. You can stop their combo halfway through, prevent them from shuffling stuff back into your deck. And they don't have any way to stop it with MSTs, Cosmics, or the Book or the Chalice. So we're playing against Superheavy Samurai here, though. Fortunately, we didn't draw a bunch of anti-back row cards. We drew things that are actually useful against this deck. Decided to go ahead and Book of Moon his monster, prevent his plays, but we don't have our own combo yet, so we're just setting more back row and passing. He's going to go ahead and try to, again, go for the synchro play here. I'm going to shut it down, though, and then we're going to make a big brain play here. He's going to try to swing with his monster for a total of 1,300 damage here, but that's not enough to trigger our skill and guarantee the Magically in the hand. So we're going to activate the Forbidden Chalice, give him the extra attack boost so that he deals the required amount of damage to trigger our skill so that we can search our deck with the Sorcery Conduit and make sure we get the Magically in the hand. So Magically comes to hand, now we're free to combo off. Again, it doesn't matter that we drew the Pudding sets because we can just summon it from our hand. We lose the card advantage, but it is what it is. We'll go ahead and go into our combo here. Glass Souffle comes out, brings out the Chocolate Island mode. She does her thing, gets pieces out so we can summon the Tiramisu. Tiramisu is going to shuffle 2 things from his field back into his deck. We'll shuffle the 2 problematic monsters that have graveyard effects because we don't want those graveyard effects to trigger, and the monster that we have set doesn't have any kind of problematic effect. He realizes it's over and he's going to go ahead and scoop. Alright, another going first turns. So we went first, set 3 back row, and then proceeded to try to go to our end phase. But we're playing Ursarctic in this one. Now, if you don't know Ursarctic, during the main phase, they can, during either player's turn, quick effect they can activate by tributing monsters and summoning themselves, and then they get effects when they do that. So he's gonna summon an Ursarctic monster here that's gonna let him discard 1 from his hand, and then he's going to do it again to summon another Ursarctic monster to the field. This one has an effect that blows up my back row, so I get why he did this, like trying to do this at the end of main phase 1, and frankly, if it were any other deck, it would have been a good idea. But since I'm playing with Madolches, I now had the opportunity to continue with my main phase instead of ending my turn, and now he has 2 cards in the field for me to send back into the deck with Tiramisu. So going first on turn 1, we're going to go ahead and go into our Madolche combo here, summon the Petting Sis or summon the Pudding Sis, do our Madolche shenanigans, bring out the Pudding Sis Chocolate a la mode, use her effect, bring out our Tiramisu effect, shuffle both of his Ursarctic monsters back into the deck, go ahead and trigger the Chocolate a la mode effect, and here we are at the end of turn 1, the start of his turn 2. We got 3 monsters on board, 2 back row, and he has 1 card in hand to start his turn. He's going to draw for turn and just scoop right there because he knows he has no chance. Guys, that's it for this Madolche video. If you guys liked the video, please again be sure to like, subscribe. It does really help with the channel a lot, and I do really appreciate the support. Thank you so much for watching. You guys have a wonderful rest of the day.